Excuse me. Excellent connection. It says I'm live. Girl, this thing say I've been live for 9 seconds and I just clicked the button 5 seconds ago and I ain't even getting no picture, so I don't know if I'm live or not. Um, Hi. There it is. Okay. This is so confusing. Hi, hello, my name is Patrick. This is the Horror Fish. Welcome. I titled this break too because I ain't like back. I still got until like Friday. And I don't think I haven't not talked about anything. I mean, I've pretty much talked about everything I want to talk about, but I am curious to see what will come out for September. Just a little curious. Like I said, this ain't whatever. I just want to get like a general vibe. So I'm gonna get one of these Archangel. I'm gonna get one of these Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. Maybe like 2 tarot cards, and then we'll see. Oh yeah, okay. I was like, I feel like I was gonna talk about something. So I'm feeling much better after yesterday. 6 of Cups and the Hangman. It's just like I got a lot of feelings sometimes, and I don't like holding them. And so I feel better. Venus in my chart is like, I'm locked up in your 12th house. I don't want to hide anymore. Oh, I love this energy. The 6 of Pentacles with the Death card. Okay. I feel like my Venus is low-key been in overdrive. Like I've talked about, it's like everybody is looking gorgeous. And then I'm like, I would joke and say, like, even females are starting to look good, girl. My Venus is just, like, ready to love. But I'm kidding about, females. Sorry, ladies. There's plenty of great guys out there who will love and cherish and value you as the beautiful woman that you are, and who will also appreciate the physicality of you in a way that I just probably would not. Honestly. Ooh, the moon and the star. That's interesting. But yeah. And so I just I don't know, not a fan of not expressing myself anymore. Surprisingly, believe it or not, right? Excuse me. But after yesterday, I felt better. Just verbalizing those feelings that are there. You can't even see these. Oh, yeah, you can. This is the part of the tip you can't see. I had a lot of laptop today, and I got this tiny little window. Hi. I was watching Rustlings Around Trial by Fire video. That's a continuation on the Lionsgate. And it brought a dream of mine to mind. And I think I've talked about it. I had the dream at some point. I know I've talked about it. I can't remember if I privated the video or not. Sometimes it's like, oh, I talked a little bit too much. But it was about collapsing timelines. And when timelines collapsed, it was like if you watch a movie or something about how you come back to your body, or when the timelines collapse, it's like your consciousness overrides whatever previous you there was, and then you get memories of the timeline that already collapsed or whatever. And so in the dream, I was with one other person. Timelines collapsed, and then we're like, oh, I wonder if that other person made it out all right. And I was like, well, that's what the other person said. And I was like, oh, I'm sure he'll be fine. Forgiveness is important. I think that's forgiveness of the self and of others. Not if you aren't where you want to be, just forgive yourself and forgive other people for it. Who was that? Oh, this one's a mystery. I hope it's the Ice Queen. I love the Ice Queen. There we go. Wait, why can't I put this up here? You can't even see the tips of my fingers. You can't see the tips of my fingers or the bottom of the table. That's fine, because I ain't even back. Um, this will probably be a long video though. I watched the video back yesterday and I rambled so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours since I started pulling these cards and I'm not even done. But I did title it Rambling, so hey, don't blame me. Um, anyway, back to the dream. He was like, oh, I wonder if that person made it out all right. I was like, well, if we're here, then they're probably here. But I guess for whatever reason on the timeline that we came into, we weren't together. Like all three of us, apparently, or more, I don't know, weren't together. But me and this other dude were. And then in the dream, it was so weird because I saw two different people. But after I woke up, I'm like, wait, those are the same person. That's the same person. And because in my mind, I'm like, oh, like that one person. So I think there was this one person, but she was like, she did something at my high school. And I think she kind of sort of got promoted within the school. So she had two different roles, or I saw her in two different capacities. And so, oh, that's a lot. Sure, put it on the table. Oh, that's a lot. Oh, exiled. Exiled from Utopia, girl. Because of the throat portal. Now, either that's speaking some stuff that ain't true that got you exiled from Utopia, or not speaking your truth is getting you exiled from Utopia. It's like Utopia has a voice activated sort of like lock on it, but you can only speak the truth if you want to get in. And then we have higher perspective with attachment. So exiled from Utopia because of the throat portal. And then we have this attachment to a higher perspective. So it's like you're fixed on Utopia. But we're not doing anything to get there. And maybe that's because this forgiveness hasn't happened. And then we have reflective truth. Forgiveness and reflective truth. So yeah, that could be more so like self-forgiveness that needs to happen. I think sometimes we act out against other people. So I think, and sometimes we act out on other people sometimes in ways as a result of things that we can't accept about ourselves. It's either things that we can't accept about ourselves, or it's like things that we don't allow ourselves to do. So we sort of take out that frustration on people that we see who are doing that. And then challenges came out. So yeah, I think that was it. That was a challenge in the past. And so maybe with that throat portal, you said or did something that came from an ugly way. It was like whatever internal garbage you got going on, you kind of sort of projected out against somebody else. That exiled you from this utopia. And now there's this attachment to a higher perspective. The higher perspective is the knowing of what that space was, right? Maybe when you first encountered that space, you didn't necessarily view it as utopia. Or maybe you did, but again, projection. And so you projected something vile. I say you, but it could be we. We projected something vile onto this space that ended up getting us locked out of it. Now, with this higher perspective, we can recognize it for what it actually is for us. And we're attached to the vision of what it is because it's utopia. Who wouldn't be attached to that, right? I've been really into ginger ale lately. Excuse me, by the way. It's one of the carbonated beverages that I can drink that won't like F up my stomach. So I find ways to cope with my body. Kinda. I feel like my body is more coping with me. But it is compromise if, am I compromising though? Like really? Kinda. The rice cooker broke, okay? And I could do rice on the stove, but I don't wanna. So anyway. So in the previous timeline we were all together. In this new timeline we weren't together. So that's why we were like, oh my gosh, where's the third person? I saw this one person after I woke up, because I'm thinking about it after I wake up, and they look similar in the dream. They were the same person. And so time was already effed up in this space if I'm looking at the same person like twice. And they were talking about something that was happening on the news. Magical imminent or majestic imminence. They were talking about something happening on the news. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's weird. I could just like pull up, because I have it in my app. I could pull up the dream. But I was looking for somebody. And it was me and this other dude, right? And we were looking for somebody in that timeline. Somebody that we had to protect or find or something. I don't remember. It almost seemed like protect. I thought a car turned over. And he was talking to the dude I was with. He was like, "Oh my gosh, are you like Robert?" I was like, I'm Robert, and I prefer Bob," or something like that. And so we take him into this like gymnasium type room, and we're looking for some kind of like dark entity or whatever. And it appeared, but we couldn't see it. Like only this dude that we came to sort of protect could see it. And we're like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? He's like, I don't know, there's something like here. And I'm like, don't look at it. Don't do it. And he's like, it's so like interesting though. I can't help but look at it. And then it left, and I was like, okay. So like, have you seen that before? He was like, yeah, in this one space. And it was in the same place that, so the two people who was the one person, they were talking about something happening on the news in a certain area. And so I guess this person was also in that area, and he saw whatever this dark thing was in that area. And I was like, okay, cute. And so I remember there was a website written on the wall. And sometimes in dreams, if I see something, I'll try to read it a few times, so I like remember it. But I'll wake up with like a partial memory still, especially if it's not like a lucid dream. And this one wasn't really lucid. Um, but I remember going through the elements, and I was like, the first one was a trial by fire, and then there was like this dance and then there was like this vortex of flame that came up around me, and I woke up before I finished that, so I didn't make it to the other elements. And then I remember all the wildfires in Australia, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, well, after fire, there's the water, the air, and the earth. And then I was thinking about like trial by air, and I was like, what would trial by air be? And then it was like it was like something like airborne, and then like disease or pestilence came to my mind, and I was like, oh no, like certainly not. And then I'm the type of person where like I didn't even really like, I think I was standing outside just thinking about it one day. I was like, what would trial by air even be? Like twisters and tornadoes? Like it doesn't sound like it would be twisters and tornadoes. Then I was like, oh, it could be like disease. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to put that out into the universe, right? And then look at where we are now. But anyway, he uploaded that video, and he called it a trial by fire. And that's one of the dreams that I had, that I've had so many dreams that I don't really try to put context to, really, because it'd be like too much. But if it is more internal than external, I still don't know what the shadow would be, but I don't know. For some reason, watching his video made me think about that. Transformation and magical realms. Excuse me. It was an interesting dream, though. So we had Majestic Imminence, number 27, and Releasing, number 32. Oh, there goes my glasses. Majestic Imminence and Releasing. It's like we gotta let the power flow from within. You can't control it. It's about free flowing, something free flowing. no, I just lost it. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, what was that? Sometimes I like say something and it'll trigger like a memory of a dream or something. I was also, because yesterday I was talking about an inner child versus an inner being, right? I was like, well, like, what if your inner child, or like, what if you have an inner being that's not a child or something like that? For whatever reason. Like I said, I think about a lot, okay? Thought experiments. Oh, exiled girl. We don't see her too often. Is she a 19? No, she's a 14. That's a 14.5, and we just had the 32.5. 32.5 was releasing. Um, I don't see exiled too often. So let's get into this. Because Exile came out before with that Utopia. Exile from Utopia, also with the Throat Portal. Something about an element of projection. Because that's what we do with the throat, right? We project our inside outside. We project our in out, and then with the third eye, we perceive from out in a way. So it's like we're projecting exile. It's like we're exiled from Utopia because that's what we're projecting. Okay, interesting. 7 of Wands. And again, with that throat, it's like maybe we didn't have the courage to speak up before, or we didn't speak in a way that was true, that was authentic to us. Because it's like instead of being the one wand that was lit, maybe in the past we were one of the pale wands falling back and whatever, right? So back to the thing I was talking about. It was like, so yesterday I was like, what if we have like an inner being that isn't an inner child? And then it's like, well, like, what if your inner being is a child, but you wouldn't necessarily perceive it as a child? And then it was like, well, we're all children compared to, grand creator. Every single one of us is a child. Even the most ancient and even the oldest are still children, right? I was like, okay, true, fair, whatever. But it was almost, when I was talking about like that releasing in the majestic eminence, it's like there's something on the inside. Maybe that's a part of like what's been happening in these in-betweeny transitional dream space things. Because it's almost bringing something to my memory. Or something. But I can't reach it. But it feels like there's something on the inside that we're not allowing to be on the outside. Or it's not related to a space of something internal. And I don't know. If I dug deep enough, I could probably find it, but excuse me, these ain't meant to be nothing because I'm still on like break. So what else about this exiled? I think that's it. Ain't nothing else coming out. I mean, y'all know that over here things ain't always jumping out, so because this is how I just like throw them down. I could do, see, it don't feel right when I do it, and then I do it all wrong. Okay, thank you. The Mother of Cups and the Lovers. This could have been someone who was protecting themselves. And it's interesting because it's like you're protecting yourself from whatever this utopia was. But I've been there. I lived like 25 and a half years of my life doing this. Actively sabotaging things that I know are what I actually want. Because for a long time I really had the mentality. Some people say it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved before. I was of the mentality that it's better to not know love than to know love and then lose it. It's better to be constantly miserable than to achieve some level of happiness and then lose it due to misfortune or whatever, because it's like the lows don't feel as low when you never hit a high, right? I was in that space for a long time, so I get it. Oh my gosh. Excuse me? Y'all see that? That Father of Cups. The Father of Cups is exiled because he does Black Swan. But this Mother of Cups is like, I don't care if you a Black Swan. You my boo baby thing. Ooh, why did I say that? Why did I say that? Oh, sorry. It's like, I don't care. Like, hello? Like, this Mother of Cups is like, all my life I've been saving this cup for you. Well, okay, I was just saving this cup because I was saving this cup. But now that I see you, I know why I was saving this cup. And then this Father of Swines, this Father of Cups, it could be somebody with some masculine, strong masculine energy in their chart. Swines would be swords and wands, right? But this is the suit of cups. It's just maybe somebody who never sort of fit in, really. And this is somebody else who maybe didn't really fit in, so that's why she's like hoarding this cup. But I feel like there are still things, like I said, with the exiled, the throat, and utopia, how it's like we're exiled because we're projecting that exile from the inside out, and so we can't find our place within this space on the outside because we're not allowing ourselves to find it on the inside. And with the throat, that's what we're projecting. There are certain things that we project without speech, right? And some of those things can come out in more subtle ways and fill in the cracks. Oh, that's something else I was thinking about. Okay. I'll probably forget. But we project it out in more subtle ways and it kind of sort of like fills in the cracks, right? It's like everything is printed on this blank canvas. Like there are these blank bodies, there are these blank like green screens all over the place. Like the whole world is green and we're in this program that can overlay things onto green things, right? And so even if we're not speaking it, we're still overlaying onto all of this green stuff, this exile, because there's something that this Black Swan still can't resolve within himself. And then this Mother of Cups is like I've been saving this for you. It's like all that he is, like that's her world. That's the space that she's found herself in. Because when they lock eyes, and maybe she has this recognition before he has the recognition, and then because only one person had the recognition and they're this projection of this exiled stuff, then somebody like but I mean ultimately we still got the lovers here. What's at the bottom of the deck though? The bottom of the deck can make or break things sometimes. Ooh, bottom of the deck is a high priestess. She's like, yeah, it's not really a secret anymore. Sorry, like everyone knows. And we were kind of sort of waiting for this to happen. Oh, well, the Five of Cups just came out with the Empress and that Seven of Wands again on the bottom of the deck. It's like, what just popped into my mind is like, watch me shine in the light. It was like, watch me shine in the light. But it's like someone else may be watching someone else shine in the, watch me shine in the light. Oh wow, so somebody's like real bright. I meant like watch me shine in the night, but I think yeah, it did come to my mind like watch me shine in the light. But it's like someone is shining when it's dark. And whenever it's dark and something is lit, it looks even brighter. But there's something about that Father of Wands energy or something about the energy of these pale wands. It's like you have a certain perception of the situation. Now the World card is at the bottom of the deck. You have a certain perception of the situation because you're in the dark. And maybe because you're in the dark yourself, it leads you to this exiled space. It leads us to these exiled spaces. But if we come into the light of who we are, we would realize that, like, the gates to utopia are wide open. Sign of Pentacles at the cut. I don't know what we're doing today, but I don't want to get into anything too heavy because technically I'm still on break, I guess. Now, the other thing I was talking about, because I know that I also recently posed, like, what is masculine creation like as compared to feminine creation? And ooh, look at that. And I kind of sort of got an answer a while ago, honestly. And it was like, okay, well, those are face down, so we'll keep them face down. And then we'll see. Oh, I got an answer a while ago. And it just came to me. I was just thinking about it. And it's like masculine energy, it's almost like masculine energy creates on the nanoscale and feminine energy creates, masculine energy creates on the micro scale and feminine energy creates on the macro scale. And so with feminine energy, you get these large observable things. But with masculine energy, you get like these really, really small things, but the level of detail is like immaculate, right? But in this experience, little things when it comes to dudes aren't as appreciated. Okay? They're not every if every pork chop were perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs. You know, there's something to love about everybody. That's what the Venus in my chart say. There's something to love about anybody and everybody. I don't want to. Never mind. Okay. So, ooh, is this harmonic resolution? It is harmonic resolution. Interesting. Okay. Bottom of the deck is the solar plexus portal. Look at this one. This one's all like red and nasty. And this one's all like golden and pure. Look at that. There's an element of purification that's going to be going down. But anyway, it's like, but then when you come into this space where masculine and feminine meet, and this is the part that came to me today, because that came to me a while ago. I was like, oh, it's like our masculine energy would create like, those fine details on something, and feminine energy builds worlds. And when they work together, they produce these kind of sort of like fractally type things. Or it's like the masculine energy will be responsible for the atoms and the molecules, and then the feminine energy will be responsible for the construction of those atoms and molecules into the different things that we observe in our reality and in our world, right? It's just a different number of protons, neutrons, electrons, and other subatomic particles. And it kind of sort of leads to this fractally type energy when they're working together. But also, it's just like, it just works. And then, we look at masculine energy like structure and organization and things like that. But I mean, isn't that what like atoms and molecules are? And it's like masculine energy creates the building blocks and then the feminine energy assembles them into something, right? Just like when the masculine energy gives, or when a masculine whatever gives feminine whatever, and then the feminine get pregnant using the genetic material that the masculine gave her, and then from that it integrates it into itself, and then it turns it into something else, something bigger than what the masculine gave it, right? And so one isn't necessarily more or less important than the other, but then for us to come into this balance in ourselves, into this harmonic resolution, maybe, it's like we need this understanding of the micro and the macro scale. And that's one reason why we can't neglect the small things. It's like one of the reasons why we can't neglect consequence, We can't neglect sort of forethought. We can't neglect this interpersonal, how we affect other people and other things, right? And it's like we have to give ourselves the building blocks and then also create with them. And that's kind of sort of what the journey is in a lot of times. And in some ways at least, right? In some ways at the very least, it's about that on some level, right? And so it's like if you on your journey, it's like you're healing. You're getting rid of all of this distortion, all of this stuff that keeps you from interacting with the world in a way that is purely uniquely your own. When we're born, we pick up these things from other people and we carry them with us. And, babies are basically sponges and they kind of sort of pick up everything, right? And it's almost like when you're not as well versed in the physical as you are in the place that you just came from, there comes a period where you hold everything, and then there comes a period where we start selecting for what is desirable, right? And when we're selecting for what is desirable, we kind of sort of leave out what is non-desirable. Or if like there's something that gets us into trouble, we kind of sort of leave that part behind. And so there's this disconnect between the way we authentically perceive the world and the world. But when we do this healing, when we do this deep work, it's like this inner child healing. It's like putting us back into the space where we have all of this knowledge, but we haven't yet selected like this is good, this is bad, this will do whatever, and that'll do whatever else, right? And so when we grow up, we live this like macro life. We live this outside focused life. And we kind of sort of neglect the inside. We neglect those things in us again because we've been conditioned in some way, shape, form, and or fashion. And so it's like, when all of that stuff gets healed, then it's like, okay, we come back to our original set of blocks that we were born with instead of the set of blocks that we sort of pick up along the way. And it's like, okay, well, these are my blocks. These are the blocks that I picked up. And I can integrate these two in a way that I can build things that, I can build things that I couldn't build with the blocks that I picked up because there were certain pieces that I never got. But the pieces that you really need that you didn't get, you were born with. But there's this internal journey of going into that toy box that is locked up and digging to the bottom of that toy box, and then maybe needing to go to the spot where your parent or guardian hid the things that they didn't want you to have, but you kind of sort of know where it is anyway. Like you might have to go there to get them, and if you got to go there to get them, then it gets a little bit more interesting, or we'll just say interesting, than digging in your own toy box, because now you got to go into this area that's off limits, that's guarded. But once you retrieve all of your blocks, then it's like you can start to build in a way, again, that's more authentic to you, that doesn't necessarily have to conform to this outside set of rules, because it's like each block comes with it comes with pegs or something that connects it to other blocks, right? And so there's these inherent stipulations on the blocks that you use because they only connect in certain ways. And there are certain configurations that the blocks that we get from the outside don't allow for, but then we have these extra bits, again, that we can kind of sort of pull from. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they really get put away. Because it, by nature, allows you to kind of sort of go outside of the realm of pre-marketed possibilities of what these blocks create. If any of that made sense. I feel like it did. I feel like I communicated that the way that I wanted to. And then that's when you come into a more divine masculine energy instead of like, your run of the mill toxic masculine energy. But it's about the building blocks that we create with. 1 second, y'all. 1 moment, please. I gotta read this. I'm interested. Okay. Leave me alone. All right. Back to this. Yeah. So it was like, and it was shown to me like in a rose, but it was a rose of like infinitely detailed and infinitely spiraling petals. Maybe more like a lotus than a rose. But it had a thorn and it came up and it looked like a rose, okay? And then it was like this feminine energy was like, oh my gosh, like, look at that detail. And the masculine energy is like, yeah, I know, but like, look at the rest of the garden. And the feminine energy is like, yeah, I know. It's like, why aren't we doing this together? It's like, well, we used to, but then the neighbor moved in and just kind of sort of took over the place. But yeah, when they work together, it's like it's this energy of a fractal, and it isn't necessarily a fractal, but it's the energy of a fractal because from the very foundation of the thing, it holds a resonant energy to the thing as a whole, and so it gives increased cohesion and stability. And it's just like how people say they don't make things like they used to. Now they're making things that pretty much intentionally break down after a certain period of time, so you have to buy new, right? And it's like, that's not cute. Back in my day, you can buy a TV and have it for the rest of your life. You just gotta slap the little converter box onto it when everything goes digital. So harmonic resolution. Harmonic resolution is number 19. It's negativity, anger, and transmutation. So it's transmuting all that negativity and anger. And it's like we have negativity, anger, and transmutation here. And then we got all this like bright, vitalizing, vivacious, energetic energy in the solar portal over here. Well, let's see what this is about. Ooh, that Three of Pentacles. Scaling up the mountain. Now, there are some energies that don't like to depend or rely on other people, and so they kind of sort of get frustrated. It's like this energy of trying to force cooperation, and it's like you're upset that everyone else is paired up, like if we're working on a group project, right? But like we're not in that type of class where the teacher is forcing somebody to pair with the student. The teacher is like, if you working on your own, you working on your own, and that's your own problem, ain't mine. The assignment is the assignment, regardless of if you have help or not. And so everyone else is partnered up, and then this energy is angry and frustrated and upset because no one is partnering with it. But it's not so upset that it like wants to be friendly. It's like you don't want to be decent, you don't want to be nice, you don't want to be approachable, but you want someone to engage with you. Mm. Somebody might volunteer for this energy. We'll pull this and see. And I feel sorry for her. But maybe she'll be the one. Okay, then we'll pull another one for him. Maybe she'll be the one to change him. We'll see. We'll see. Or maybe he'll just continue to be trash, and now she got this issue on her hands that she don't even want because she was just trying to be nice. And I know her. I know several of her. And girl, you should have just let that man be, or that woman, or that whoever, or whatever. Because sometimes it's an animal. These mean animals. Now, some animals been through some things, and that's why they turn mean. Some animals just mean, just like some people are just mean. And some people be like, "Well, I don't think people are just mean." I'm like, some people come out the womb mean. They them babies that just like scowl at everything. Let me stop. Let me stop. But yeah, it's like this energy. It gets frustrated and upset. Again, the neighbor, that like less than divine masculine energy, because the thing about divine masculine and divine feminine energy is that they cooperate, and there's a desire to cooperate because they can appreciate the work of the other, and they know the place that the other has within their own work. And with this like more toxic masculine energy, and even with the toxic feminine energy, this is just that energy of like, I don't need nobody. And it's not cooperative, it's not collaborative, and nothing wants to work with that energy. And because that energy does not have the cooperation from the other side, its creations are less stable, less grounded, and are more subject to random oscillations that will just knock things out of place, right? It's like if you're shaking something and if all the nuts and the bolts aren't screwed in tightly, then they just start flying out all over the place, and then it just like falls apart. Like that's this energy, because it's not getting that collaboration from the other side. And instead of wanting to better itself, it just sort of complains about, everything else, and then forces things into places that they shouldn't be, right? This energy is like, who says that a round peg can't fit into a square hole? I'm gonna show you. And it's like, there was a round hole right there, right? Why are you using the square hole? Because I'm gonna show you that it can be done. It's like, okay, whatever. That's this energy. Then we got the hermit. So yeah, like alone. We already talked about that. I think it is kind of sad though. I don't know if it's more sad or if it's more frustrated, though. Honestly, I don't think this is necessarily sad. I think this is more frustrated because this energy, it sees no fault in itself, and so it's just angry that no one else will work with it. It can't see why no one wants to work with it. And it's like, well, if you looked in the mirror, if you weren't you, would you want to work with you? And I feel like a lot of this energy would honestly be like, no. Because when this energy encounters someone on the outside, I don't think, well, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on, well, yeah, okay. So I feel like it kind of sort of does like itself, and that's why it sort of breeds and proliferates in these kind of sort of like seedy, shady underground type ways. But the bond that they share is not one aligned to lighter things. It's more like this maligned type of shared negativity. Like there's a shared negativity here, like misery loves company, that type of energy. And then the last card is this Father of Wands, the king of all snakes. The snake. He's a snake. Only centered on his own desires. No compassion, no caring, no nothing for nobody else. But then you wonder why. This is also the energy that will take advantage of people, and the energy that will use people and that will screw people over to the point where everybody knows like who you are and how you are, and you're surprised that no one wants to work with you, and it's like, girl, we all know what working with you means. And we're better off on our own or with each other. Also, that's a pale wand, and we just saw the pale wands falling away from the lit wand because they were spooks. Let's see. She's coming out with the Eight of Swords. Girl, don't do it. She was conditioned by this energy. Okay, not necessarily. I don't want to say she was conditioned by the energy. Her trap, her her trap is her kindness. Her trap is her compassion. And so when she sees this energy that is separate and alone, she feels some type of way, and then she comes over to work with this because no one else is working with this, and she knows that like the assignment is going to be harder if you're on your own, sure, whatever. And she knows that this teacher isn't going to force any partnerships because the teacher is like, in the real world, okay, you could be forced to work with somebody, but when you are a person of status, when you are a person of repute, when you are a person who is held in some sort of higher regard because of how much of a team player and how great you are, you get to be a little bit more picky, right? And you can, okay, it ain't as simple as always quitting a job. But yeah, this, getting into this, and then can this energy be changed? The Son of Cups. Mm. See, this is why it's a toss up. Because it could go either way, honestly. She could soften him up to the point where he does change. Or, okay, it depends on the self of this person. You see the Dark Cup? It depends on the truest nature of whoever this is. If this is someone who would be, they say that men and women, people channel emotions in different ways. And so this could be an energy that channels sadness, grief, and otherness into anger and frustration. And if that's the case, then this might soften him up, but it's still not great for her regardless. Or at least if she get in, she need to know when to get out. Don't get stuck in there. Um, but if it's something that's truly like, there's people who have like these complexes where they just honestly, legitimately think that they're better than everyone else. And if this is that type of situation where he legitimately thinks he's better than someone else, and then he's not working with anybody, and he's like, well, no one in this room is on par with me anyway, and blah, 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 whatever, then nothing would change. And she would just kind of sort of, it'd be a futile effort. So, you know, that is what that is. Ain't even none of this about September. Do you remember? Nope. That Four of Cups at the bottom. Should we learn to work with this energy? The Seven of Pentacles. I don't like that answer. Y'all can do it. Excuse me. If y'all want to work with this energy, be my guest. Be my guest. I don't have the time or patience for it. I don't know. I gotta go to the restroom, y'all. I know. I'll be right back. There it is. Hello. Yeah, okay, that's it. Lovely. Okay, so battery is sufficiently charged. It's 107 already. So yeah, that was that. I mean, I guess if I had to work with that energy, I would. I don't prefer to, cause then it's just like I don't want to just sit around and listen to people just like inflating their own ego all day. You know what I mean? It's like I went to school with people like that. I'm not a fan. Some of them I could be friends with. Sometimes it's just like I knew one dude who was like that. He was cute. I kind of had a crush on him, even though I didn't like him. Anyway, um, he would like act like he was better or like smarter than everybody, but in the circle of smarties, he would like perform the least well. Is that a word? He would perform the worst, but his ego was still like huge, and we're just like, in the end. So I got two friends in this group of people. My other friend is like the smartest person in to our in our limited, awareness of the world at that time. He was the smartest person on the planet. Like he was just that dude. He was that smart. And then I was like the second smartest. I mean, he also studied a lot and he did like other stuff. And girl, I was playing World of Warcraft. So, anyway, and then there was this other dude, and then another dude, and then this dude who was like kind of sort of peripheral. Now, the peripheral dude was also like smart, but he didn't really take like a lot of the like AP classes and stuff like that. He elected to not take AP classes and stuff like that, and so he had a high GPA. And then the dude who I'm talking about, we'll just call him. I don't want to. We'll call him Bob, and Bob is the dude with the complex. We'll call him Connie because the complex, right? So Connie was mad that this other dude had a higher GPA than him by like a point or whatever. And he was like, well, he doesn't even take like AP classes. He doesn't even take the advanced classes. So yeah, that's why his is higher. I'm like, okay, Connie, whatever. And so there was this one time we took some like the practice pre ACT or whatever, and we all got some shout outs. Now, the Alex, we'll call him Alex, because, like a smart Alec, I guess. I don't know. Alex like scored extremely well, as everyone expected, right? And so Alex got a shout out. I got a shout out because I scored well, but also I fall within the African American sort of category, and so I got a special shout out because of that, right? And so Connie was mad. Connie was like, "Oh, well, you only got a shout out because you're black." And Alex was like, "No, I mean, like, yeah, that was what it was specifically for." But Alex was like, he also did really well. And Connie didn't do that hot. But Connie is that type of person where that's what Connie does. And so whenever people go for these like shy, nerdy, geeky, off to the side types, they can be just as toxic, if not more toxic, as them other dudes. They might be more toxic because they see this dude fantasy and the girls that they're supposed to have and all this whatever that they sort of buy into, but then they don't get it. And so now they feel like they've been missing out on something that they're extra entitled to, or they feel extra entitled because they've been missing out. Like on top of the regular entitlement that some of these dudes have over the female form and body and mind, apparently. And I'm just like, oof, girl, exploration with higher perspective at the bottom of the deck. Okay. All right. That's enough of that. I want to see what September is looking like because I'm curious. Whenever someone's like, "Oh, like you can't read this and I can't read this," I'll just be like, "Well, can I read it? I'm curious. I just want to know. I just want to know. I just want to know." Sometimes I gotta switch up decks though. I don't know why. I'm like, this don't look right. Let me grab this other deck, and then it's like, oh, maybe it's partly to do with the amount of effort that I put into it, right? So if I'm like, oh, I really want to see what this is, then it's like it opens itself up to me. But if I'm just like, whatever, then it's just like it accepts that whatever. That's what I do most of the time. So what is September looking like? What is that? Virgo season? What's September Virgo season looking like? What's my Virgo season card? Hold up. I just want to see real quick. Who the freak is this? Who is this? I gotta count these. So Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. My card for Virgo season is the moon. That's interesting. That's interesting. My card for Virgo season is the moon. I don't know if I want to pull any cards then. Because I kind of want to be surprised. Well, this doesn't for the collective. For the collective. Well, even though I'm not supposed to be doing anything with the collective right now. For the collective, what is the month of September looking like? I was like, the moon card? No, that's interesting. That's interesting. I got Piscean energy where Virgo should be. Hello? Somebody didn't get the memo. Okay. What is like September looking like? I do kind of sort of only want to take a jumper. Kind of. Whoops. As soon as I say it. Oh! Ah! The Ice Queen! I love her! I love her. September may be a tipping point. Bottom of the deck is empowerment. September might be a tipping point. The Ice Queen is it's primarily about balancing the light and the dark. It's about knowing the light and the dark, but still choosing the light, right? Now, some of these queens will choose the dark or whatever, but that's what it's about. Oh, I might as well pour up the rest of that ginger ale. It's fine. I also got some Humex, some guava nectar. It's really good. I'm a little flower, apparently. Sorry. Dirty minds. Clarify if this Ice Queen. Actually, well, since I already got the Ice Queen, I'm going to shuffle this up a few times. Strength and the Ten of Pentacles. Love that. Now we have Judgment with the Ten of Pentacles. Oof. That's like having the strength to claim what it is that you've earned and deserved. The World with Judgment. Oof. That Seven of Wands with the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune with Judgment. I said the world, didn't I mean the wheel. The Five of Pentacles with the Wheel of Fortune. And the Nine of Cups with that Five of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Pennies. Ten of Pennies. This is giving me. This is karma. It's karma made real. So either rewards or justice, or just desserts. So here it is. Ice Queen, what number are you? Ice Queen is number 22. 22 is the yin and the yang in Energy Oracle. Oh my gosh, I just opened right to the page. Interesting. Let's read Ice Queen. This image is connected with the silver white color ray. Okay. Celestial interpretation. Ice Queen resonates to personal power and liberation from the shadow self. That's what September is about. Personal power and liberation from the shadow self. That's all I'm going to read. That's it. Personal power and liberation from the shadow self is September. So then I guess it would make sense that if you know, or if you feel that you still have work to do while you can't really read it, it's a space that's yet left undefined. Even for me, I got the moon card, so hey. No, that was Virgo season. For Virgo season, I have the moon. For the month of September, I have the Queen of Cups. So it's like, that's interesting. That's why I was like, in September, October, November, the cards are real interesting. And then December is also interesting. And December is the one that's actually interesting, because that's the one that I'm like, that could be anything. All of these could be anything. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Back to this. Liberating the self from the shadow self. And again, this card is about balancing those polarities within oneself and putting everything into perspective. We got the Three of Cups that was at the top of the deck, the Ace of Pentacles that was at the middle, and then the Five of Swords that was at the bottom. I knew it. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. Alright. I thought this was facing the other direction. But maybe I've just seen this card in reverse so many times that that's why I thought it had this orientation. The month of September is looking interesting, because these birds are shadows. The Three of Cups could speak to areas where we've already found a familiarity and a comfortability. The Ace of Pentacles is one world. And then the Five of Swords is on this side. I think this Ace of Pentacles is important because it feels like for a while we've been in a Two of Pentacles state, where we're kind of sort of balancing, where we're juggling, where we're in the in-between. And so for the Ace of Pentacles to come out means that things have been more or less by this point decided. And I don't want to say the path is going to be set for the next decade, but, you know, people were also saying that 2020 kind of sort of sets the tone for the next decade. And we're setting the tone for the next decade. It's always been this way, but it's in an internal way. And it's like by September, it's kind of sort of more or less going to be locked into place. And with this Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck again, who is that trying to be shown? Is that the Ace of Cups? It is. It's the Ace of Cups. So the bottom three cards, Ten of Pentacles, Strength, and the Ace of Cups, with the Two of Cups right under that Ace. These were the bottom three cards. Ten of Pentacles, Strength, and the Ace of Cups. And when I picked it up, I saw the top of the Ace of Cups. That's why I was like, is that the Ace of Cups? And I was like, oh, it is. But then the Strength card was also behind the Ten of Pentacles. And again, that's the dispensable karma. And I feel like I've done my due diligence to anyone who would come across my channel because I've been telling y'all for months now, since before the eclipse, that don't wait for these portals to try to do whatever it is that you're supposed to do. Begin doing whatever it is that you're supposed to do before these portals. Because it's like, you don't wait until the delivery driver comes to your house to place the order for the food that you want. You place the order first, and then the delivery driver comes and delivers, right? It's like, that's what the portal, a portal is the energy of the delivery person being at your door, ringing your doorbell. Whatever you placed an order for is what's coming out, right? You don't want to be like, oh, I'm about to get some food when the delivery man comes. Let me think of what food that I want. And this delivery person is a magician, and he'll, out of his hat, pull out a fully cooked, fully prepared meal on the spot, just like that. It's like, okay, well, maybe for some people it works like that. The way I've been getting it and feeling it, and it ain't even necessarily getting it and feeling it. In my mind, it just like a little bit more logically makes sense to begin doing the things like that you can do. Now, again, who I am today is not who I've been. I used to procrastinate, so I get that. But also at the same time, to use these effectively to get the most out of these, it's like if someone is like, hey, we're gonna match all of the donations that you get up to $100,000, right? And all you hear is someone's going to give you $100,000, but in order for you to net $100,000, you at least have to get 50,000, and then someone else will match that 50,000 to give you 100,000, right? Even if they do double, then you would have to get like $33,333.34, and then they would give you the $66,666.66, and then that will give you your $100,000. But you have to do something. Effort is matched. And this could be that, I said misery loves company earlier, that this could be that pity party. And then this would be that you stayed strong in these times and you fought. That's what the Five of Swords for me is meaning. It's been meaning that since I did the angel spread. In this time where we need to be strong and we need to stay on the porch to be welcomed into the house, right? It's like the porch is the first step of initiation into this. Fight Club, okay. The porch is the first step of initiation, and if you haven't been tough enough to stay on the porch, if you ran away, if you walked away and if you found this old company here instead of the company that would challenge you to continue to rise and grow and heal and evolve and change, it's like you know which pinnacle you took. If you chose to stay on the porch, you're going to be initiated into something further. And that's the thing about this Ice Queen. The Ice Queen is also a hermit energy, so let's look and see what's around the hermit. Oh, I see what he was talking about now. Yeah, I feel it. There's that moon card. I was like, well, what's my card for Virgo season? I'm interested. The moon. Oof, girl. Anything could happen. But that's how I like it, so, I like to be surprised. Surprise me. Where's the hermit? Oh, here it is. Oof, girl. Look what just popped up. That Seven of Wands again. The card featured of the day is the Seven of Wands. I personally like it this way, but it actually gets turned this way. And I do like this because this is an old queen. And birds of a feather flock together, so I guess I'm not surprised. If you want a new flock of birds, you gotta change. If you have changed, then expect a new flock of birds. I need one more. I gotta have 9. Let's see. Well, y'all can kind of sort of see it. I don't really have to adjust it anymore. Well, let's see. I can do this a little bit. Oh wait, I don't even really have to. Let's see. There we go. One day this setup will be great, but for now it's good enough. It gives me what I need, and I shan't complain anymore. So I want 3 more just to finish this out. I'll see what energy I'm feeling here. The 2 of Pentacles, that's easy. I don't think I saw the 2 on my way here. Look at that! The 2 of Swords and the 4 of Swords are together again. This is the 3rd time I've seen them together. That's interesting. They came out together yesterday. I guess I could look for the 6 of Swords, because that's the actual movement, right? What is it? Oh, it's the butterfly. I was like, what does the 2 of Pentacles look like in this deck? It's Le Butterfly. Okay. Now this, the magician's sitting right outside the window. This is interesting. Now this, again, this is what I've been talking about for at least a little hot minute here. This Page of Swords goes over here. This is an old queen. That's a queen 1.0. This is a page 2.0. This is coming into a new cycle. This is the new world. This is the old world where you feel more comfortable, more in charge. And it's going to be a continuation of everything that you were already sort of getting or doing anyway. And that's going to be this karmic justice, right? And karmic justice doesn't necessarily have to be like bad things or blah, 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 whatever. But it's going to be the continuation. Like I said yesterday with that Akasunade energy, the things that we shine light on are the things that continue to shine. And so in September, it's going to be the continuation of the shine. While we've been in this dark period, wherever we focus the light, if we've had any light to focus, that's going to be, like I said, it's like something that glows in the dark and it charges it, and that it's like it's going to reach this critical capacity where it like everyone is going to see it. I wasn't necessarily supposed to go this deep today, but I just flow with it and I go with it, okay? Sometimes maybe I say some things that I shouldn't say, but that's fine. Because I feel like anything that I say is to inspire somebody to, I don't know, look at things a different way and to maybe, I don't know, clean it up a little bit. Potentially. The energy around this hermit is someone not knowing exactly what it is that they have to leave behind. And so this energy that stayed on the porch, this is a very, it's like a dogged determination type of energy. This is an energy that seeks comfort. But in the seeking of this comfort, it's like the seeds don't grow. The seeds that you plant don't grow. If you are in an area of comfort, your seeds that you plant as a reflection of you are also in an area of comfort. And comfortable for a seed is under the ground. It's shielded, it's safe, it's under the earth. It's not exposed to the elements or to the light. The bugs can't get to it. People can't trample on it. It's safest underground. And so if you sought comfort and safety, your seeds are going to lie dormant. But, you know, if you stayed on the porch, if you walked away from whatever you needed to walk away from, even if it involves the shattering of a few cups, there's this expansion of your understanding. And all of this mental expansion is going to be accompanied by something physical. Top of the deck is the world card. It was not coming off of the table. So, look, the world card with that, boom, right there. With that, ace of pennies. What did I pick this up for? Because the mental expansion precedes the physical expansion. And one of the things that kings and queens aren't the best at doing is expanding. They kind of sort of get fixed because they know what works for their kingdom and they know what doesn't work. It's very like blockbuster type of energy. And I just saw somebody was like, they were making fun of or laughing at Barnes and Nobles for they're going to be offering like alcohol and like more food now or something. And someone was like, to try to keep up. And somebody else was like, well, you know, if Blockbuster would have switched it up, then maybe they would have stuck around when everything went online. And it was like, you know, maybe Blockbuster could have been known for like their garlic bread or something like that. I don't know. But then somebody else was like, you know, if somebody wanted to take me on a date to Barnes and Nobles where I can have a little meal, grab a beer, and pick up, you know, 2 to 5 books about these subjects and topics, like that would be a good time to me. And there are people who like enjoy stuff like that. And so there's an element of adapting here, but adapting does not mean necessarily giving up who you are, right? It's about coming into who you are and allowing that self to exist in these other spaces in a way that's a little bit more true and a little bit more authentic to you, in a way that everything before didn't necessarily allow or account for. So that's September. It's almost like there's nothing to see, quite frankly. But I'm interested to see what the readings for September end up looking like when they come out. But yeah, it's almost like there's nothing to see because it's like, unless you're forgetful. If I if my refrigerator is empty and I put one thing in the refrigerator, I don't have to walk to the refrigerator to see what's in there. I know that that one thing is in there. And so if it's like, you know, I wonder what's in the fridge, it's like there's nothing to really see in the fridge because there's only that one thing that you know is in there. And sometimes, you know, we go to the fridge even though we know that there's stuff in there, but maybe we go to the fridge so many times because it's like maybe one of those times we'll be hungry enough to eat the things in there or thirsty enough to drink the things in there that we weren't yet hungry or thirsty enough to eat or drink, right? It's like, am I like thirsty enough now to drink this? No. Am I hungry enough now to eat this thing that I don't really want to eat? No. Maybe after a few trips you'll be hungry enough to actually eat it, right? So yeah, Ice Queen, I love her. This is about liberating ourselves from our shadow self, and it's also about bringing it all into balance. Who shares September? Virgo and Libra. I feel like the balance part of that is the Libra. And then the Virgo part of that is the purification. The Virgo part of that is the order. But Virgo starts in August. So that order, by the time September comes around, that order is already established. Right? And that Virgo energy in September at the top of the month, it's going to be running whatever we've put into it. And then when it switches over to Libra, that's when the scales begin to move. So it's like there's the side of the scale that we contribute to, and then there's the side of the scale that the universe contributes to. And we've been in this period of loading up our side of the scale. And whatever we've been putting on the scale, when we come into Libra season, the world will balance. And so if we've made our side heavy with work and with intention and with all of these things over here, then it's like we're going to get more. But in reality, we're not making our side of the scale heavy. We're making our side of the scale light. But I said heavy because it's going to, it's going to give us some stuff, right? But we've actually been making our side of the scale light. This side of the scale is the heavy side. But this is after that energy of Virgo passes. This side is heavy right now because of the amount of work and toil that it involves. This side of the scale is lighter now because of all of the things that we kind of sort of just continue to let fly or whatever. But by the end of this side is going to be a lot lighter because this side, again, going back to the ship analogy yesterday, it's dropping all the weight. And even when I did on my legacy channel Pisces, in that full moon in Aquarius, it was like, oh my gosh, Pisces, you've positioned yourself to get swept up by this wheel of fortune. Brace yourself for the ride. But if you're too heavy, this hot air balloon, this helicopter flying by, it's going to drop you because you're too heavy. And the ship is not going down. So either you lighten your own load or you get cut loose. Yeah. What's around the Justice card? Because we have the Hermit here. We'll cross it with Justice. And see, I believe I saw the cats. I had a dream about 2 cats a long time ago. It was an interesting dream. I got attacked in that dream, and I was running away from somebody, trying to convince this lady to not attack me because there was an energy of reversal. And it's like in the dream, this person was kind of sort of recruited to go after me for some reason, girl. And her thoughts were written in the sky. And so I'm like trying to get away from this person. And this person, I can see what they're thinking about me because it's written in the sky and voiced in her voice. And her conception of me was all kinds of effed up. Like, she really thought I had it easy. And I'm like, girl, like, that is not the case. This was a while ago. This was when I was seeing the blue eye in my dreams. And then I looked up and the blue eye is like the eye of God or whatever. In the vice versa deck, at least. Because there's a blue eye on one side of the tower. And I was like, that looks like the blue eye I saw in my dreams. It was just popping up. And so I was running away, trying to get her to not attack me. But again, there was an energy of reversal. And if she would have harmed me, she would have harmed herself. And I didn't want her to be harmed. And it was some kind of dream magic too, in the dream. And so she basically ended up getting me at the end. But when she got me at the end, I woke up from the dream. And I was still inside the dream. I woke up from the dream inside the dream. And I knew that she had just gotten herself. Because I tried to tell her, like, whatever like you do to me is gonna come back to you, and I'm running away for your safety, not for mine, because I know I'm gonna be unharmed either way. But even if I'm not the person who's intentionally doing this to you, I don't want you to unintentionally do it to yourself, because you've been convinced that I'm whatever, when like that's not the case. And so she got me at the end of the dream, but then I woke up and she got herself. So that was an interesting dream. But yeah, I saw there was this black cat and there was a white cat in the dream. Interesting. There's that 9 of Wands. And then, oops. I guess I snatched up the Hermit card on accident. Yeah, that was a really interesting dream. And then there was this dude named Abdullah. And so I looked up Abdullah, and it means like hand of God or something like that. I don't remember. And Abdullah was the one who kind of sort of approached me first. And I was like, bruh, like, I'm not even like too much focused about you. Like, leave me alone. And then one of these cats was like, "Are you gonna do something to him? Are you gonna do something?" I'm like, "No, because I'm just trying to live my life, honestly." And then Abdullah came with something, and then the girl came after Abdullah. I guess the girl had hired Abdullah to find me, but then she was hired by somebody else, basically to be sacrificed, because it was like, whoever hired you, they know that this is futile. But I guess you don't mind throwing your life away, but it's your life to throw away, I guess, if you want to. Oh, snap. Hold on, wait. No, it came out this way. Didn't it? Yeah, it did. Hold up, wait, no. Okay. So the Six of Swords is crossing the Eight of Cups, which is interesting because I was just like, oh, I wonder what's around the Six of Swords because the Two and the Four of Swords keep coming out together. Or I keep seeing them together. So we have the Six of Cords. Oh, that's interesting. Cords speak to attachment. Attachment came out earlier with higher perspective. And attachment came out with higher perspective after someone was refused utopia because of whatever it is that they're projecting. Hold up, wait. This goes this way. So we have the Nine of Wands with this Queen of Swords, and then the Seven of Pentacles. We have two cards of movement on top of each other. Both the Six of Swords and the Eight of Cups are cards that involve journeying. The Six of Swords is the part of the journey where you're crossing water, kind of sort of at the mercy of the ferryman, the person who actually knows the way. The Eight of Cups is the part of the journey related to water through the Suit of Cups, but it's a journey on land away from something else. It's very kind of sort of, is it Buddha? Or was it Muhammad? It was Buddha. Siddhartha, I believe, who left everything behind. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Both of these cards are movement and leaving something behind. We go from the Five of Swords to the Six of Swords with this Princess of Swords here. This, there's an escape here that this queen over here isn't seeing. This queen sees a dead end with the Nine of Wands. This page sees an alternative route with the Six of Swords, but again, the alternative route that this page is taking is at the mercy of someone else. And so there's an element of control that the Page of Swords is fine with not having, that the Queen of Swords finds completely unacceptable. And like the Queen of Swords can't trust. The Queen of Swords doesn't believe. And so beyond the Nine, the Queen doesn't see anything with that moon energy. Or the Queen isn't seeing things in a way that will get her to move forward with this journey. Something about her perspective is off, and her perspective is off because, again, with the Nine of Wands, you're so close to the 10. 9 is a number of completion before you really come into that space of entering the new cycle. The 9 for this queen is a dead end. And because it's a dead end for this queen, she seeks out the familiar. But with this page, the page is not yet conditioned. The page has regained her building blocks to now use in conjunction with the blocks that she's acquired, right? And this queen is only using the blocks that were given to her. And again, the blocks given to you, it was like you have this set of Legos, and you got that set of Legos, and you got this set of Legos. And anything that these Legos can build you can build. But when you dig into your own toy chest, you find these magical blocks that can kind of sort of take any form, any shape, and any color. And because they can take any form, any shape, and any color, you can kind of sort of put them in between the Legos to make these things that otherwise you couldn't make. Right? It's like they're giving you the most basic set over here. And that's the dead end that she sees because she can't move any further with what she already has. But over here with the Six of Swords, again, is the element of trusting the ferryman. Trusting the one who knows the way, the universe, your guide, spirit, angels, whoever you seek higher advice from. Some people seek lower advice. It's your life. And then the lower advice you seek may have you targeting going after situations where it's only to your detriment. And I think I wrote that dream down too. Because I want to see what I was talking. Because I remember I was talking to one of these cats, but the other cat wasn't really talking. Oh! I'm sorry. I just feel validated and seen. I know I'm smiling like, a little goofball, but maybe I don't even see how big I'm smiling back here. It's fine. Why did I open my phone? Six of Swords, the Ferryman, the Universe, Guide, Spirits, Queen of Swords. What was I talking about? Why did I pick up my phone? Oh, I forgot. Oh, the dream. What does Abdullah mean? I do want to look it up because it was like Hand of God or something like that. Because I was like, I remember the name like Abdullah, and I was like, Abdullah, like what have I done to you, my guy? And Abdullah was like, it ain't personal, it's business. And I'm like, okay, well, if it ain't personal, then like, can you just go home? Like, leave me alone. Abdullah is the primary transliteration of the Arabic given name, built from the Arabic words Abd and Allah. Okay, well, let's see. We on Wikipedia, so she really gonna break it down. Abd and Allah, Allah itself composed of Al and La. The first letter A in Allah in its native pronunciation is unstressed and is elided following another vowel. In the case of Abdullah, this is the U of the classical Arabic nominative case, and it is one of many Arabic theophoric names, meaning servant of God. God's follower is also a meaning of this name. So it was a servant of God. Why did the servant of God? It's that energy of Job. It's that Job energy. This is allowed to happen because whatever it's going to teach you. I'm like, oh my gosh. Maybe that's another reason why I was trying to like convince this person that I was not their enemy. Also trying to survive. And also it was like, if I could have survived until sundown, then whatever the spell was, it would have been broken. And again, there was already a reversal on it. So whatever this person did to me, it would have been done unto them. But I cared enough about this person that was trying to take me out that I was like, I almost made it to sundown, but she got me. She cornered me in the end, and then she kind of sort of like squished me. It was weird. But then, I woke up from the dream fine. And there was also a community. She was like, you've had this community of whatever, and I haven't had anybody. And I'm like, girl, it's like if I found a community, I found a community. But even if you got a community, don't necessarily mean things are easy. I do want to try to find this. There's a search bar. What can I search? Maybe I can search for Abdullah. Maybe Abdullah will pop up. No, okay. Let's see. This was a while ago. Okay, yeah, it was before this. It was before this. It was before that dream. That was an interesting dream. I know I had this dream a while ago. That's also. Oh! That's Metatron, isn't it? Okay, that's interesting. I had a dream that I like. Who? Wait, what? What is this? What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what that means. um, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this. Oh, here's the dream about the blind swordsman. I talked about it the other day. Okay, that's the dream about that. Okay. I know I'm being like, I'm trying to find it and trying to minimize, like, I could just go through my dreams one day. But I feel like by this point, it should be alright. Okay. It's somewhere around here. Because again, like I said, this eye was popping up in a few of my dreams. And I remember I was house hunting, but I was looking for a dream for this dude that I know. And this eye was in the house. And no, this was a different dream. I had this dream January 14, 2019. And that's really interesting because that was several months before. I want to go back through my dreams now. Because that's a dream that I can kind of sort of tie to a person that I hadn't even met at this time yet. Like, that was several months before that person even came into my physical awareness, my conscious awareness. Now I'm like, wait, what? Where is this? This is the dream that. So I had a dream one time. I guess this is January 7, 2019. And is it this one? Yeah, yeah, it was this one. I had a dream that we were guarding something. It was like angels and demons were both guarding something, and it went missing. And it was a big deal, and I don't even know what it was. And all I know is that like we were guarding it or somebody was guarding it. Both sides were guarding it. And I thought there was gonna be like trouble, trouble, trouble. And there wasn't. but whatever it was, it had somehow escaped. And I actually thought about that dream the other night or the other day. I thought about that dream. I was like, wait, didn't I have a dream where like angels and demons were both guarding something, and it kind of sort of just disappeared? I was like, what was that dream about? I don't know. My dreams have been weird like all my life, like I've said. So all my life I've had weird dreams. I think it was a. I remember that there was a dream that I had one time. This was a different dream. But there was a dream I had one time. This was December 25th, 2018. I had a dream one time where I was chasing somebody evil, and we had trapped this person. And the person started chanting, and I could tell that this person was casting like a spell to go back in time to before I trapped the person. And so I started chanting to accelerate time to cancel out this person chanting to go back in time. So I was trying to keep this person locked in this prison. I wonder if this is related to the dream I was just talking about when we lost whatever. Maybe I found whatever and we trapped it, but it was trying to go back in time to before it was trapped. And so I tried to keep it trapped by basically canceling out whatever spell it was doing. But then I ended up like way back in time, so I guess maybe I did it wrong because he was going back, and maybe instead of me going forward, I was also going back, so we ended up like way back. And this isn't that dream, so I don't know how it ended, but this dream reminds me of that dream. Like I said, I've had like interesting dreams for like ever, and it's not this one, but that's another time traveling dream. I think I've only traveled through time like via like a spell or whatever in that one dream. I feel like in other dreams, I can't remember how I travel, but where is this dream? I had a dream about aliens turning into people. And I saw one of my friends' boyfriends in this dream. And she was like, oh man, I want it to be something cool. I'm like, girl. But it was like a misunderstanding or something like that. I've also been thinking of that dream a lot lately. Oh, I wrote this one at 5:55. What's this one? Oh, yeah, that dream is weird. Anytime I go to I think it might be. So I was I stopped wetting the bed a little late in life. I was like over 10, but I wasn't in like high school. Maybe like 10 or 11. And I would have dreams where I would go to the bathroom in my dream and then I'd end up going to the bathroom in real life. And maybe to subconsciously protect myself from that happening like now, and I haven't done it since. Um but whenever I go to the bathroom in a dream, it's always like super weird, and it's not like the urinal or the toilet is never like normal. But maybe that's to like again. Here we go. Yeah, I ended up searching for it and it popped up because I couldn't find it. Music Magic. This was December 11, 2018. And I titled it Music Magic for some reason. Room. House shopping. Yeah. It was a smallish but very nice house. Tacky with lots of white and blues. I asked if it came included with the house, all the technology. And the guy said that the owners might take it. This is where what looked like a big blue eye first appeared. There was something the man was going to compensate my friend for, but my friend said no because he thought he was being charged extra for it. But I explained to him that, compensation means that he's going to take it off the price of the house, not add to it. He confided in me that the army wasn't paying him, but it seemed to me like he had enough money to buy the house at whatever the listed price was, but he couldn't pay anymore. Maybe he just went to basic training. Okay. Okay, all right. I had to read this a little bit to see what this was. So, it's very like sometimes when I wake up, I try to just get it all down. And this is like later into the entry. So, Kaho Ono, and this is why it's titled Music Magic, I guess. Kaho Ono was basically, on this one anime I watched, she was basically a bard, where her songs had the power to affect people. So, summoned animals, messed with the mind, these songs, I guess, healed an injured cheetah, and the cheetah is the magician in the world unknown. Closed eyes and turned back. What was done to me was done to them. No fear and calm was key. So there was a blue eye that kept popping up. Reminds me of the sea serpent card from the world unknown animal spirits. First it was when house hunting, then it was with Adula, and apparently Adula was a god. And what did it say Adula was? It was like a messenger of God or something like that. Servant of God or God's follower. But in my dream, it was like Abdullah was a god or whatever. That's when it first started. That's when I first started singing. The vibrational harmonies mattered. Abdullah distracted us long enough for a girl to show up. She was supposed to kill/capture me. She had sisters and was under a lot of pressure. Ran through my mental scapes. Double decker bus on campus, the field. So it was a lot of things from a lot of different places in my memory, but that had all was like beginning to collapse on top of itself. Again, like after the dream took place, I realized I was in a dream. I didn't talk about the cats in this one though. And that's what I was looking for. Because I was talking to the cats before Abdullah showed up. Saw double decker bus on the field, double decker bus on campus in the field. Saw red writing on the sky, her thoughts. I was lucky to be born to powerful sisters and to be loved and talented. Then I said out loud that we didn't have anyone to teach us in the beginning and that we didn't even want our gifts initially. I felt bad for her. The way it worked was if she didn't kill me for a day in this space, then nothing would happen. However, if she did, then she'd die in the way that she killed me. She got me in the end, rushed me, and crushed me against the wall. I woke up at home and sometime later realized it was fruit magic, question mark. Something about a fruit I picked up put me in a dream. So it was like how in Snow White she eats the apple. I didn't even eat it. I just picked it up, and apparently it knocked me out and put me in a space where she could find me. Um, I think one of the girl's older sisters put me in a dream. Then she found me. Yeah, what I just said. Unfortunately, I think she was still um, the reversal magic. Even though all of this happened in the dream, it still took her out. But I mean, at the end of the day, it ain't like I did anything. I did feel bad for her though. Here it is. Before I was approached by Abdullah, I was talking to two cats about what I do, who was close to me, and when I fight. Right after that, Abdullah came. He seemed kind of suspect, but I was going to let him go. One of the cats told me to go after him, and that's when everything started. So, yeah, there was that one cat that was telling me to go fight. And I was just telling this cat, so I was telling this cat what I do, telling the cat about the people that I care about, and then I was telling the cat about when I fight and why I fight, right? And so then that's when Abdullah came up, and then the cat was like, you should fight Abdullah. And Abdullah was looking suspect. But I was like, why? Like, I just told you. So it was like this cat was trying to instigate. And I'm like, cat, like, I ain't trying to, like, miss the justice card. It was like these two cats that showed up in my dream. And I was like, I just told you, like, I don't just go out and fight anybody just because they want to fight. I was like, no, I don't do that. It reminds me of this one time, one of these dudes who lived down the street. I've been a fairly big dude like all my life, honestly, or at least since like fifth grade. That's when I started putting on weight. Um, when I was younger, I was like real thin and I had a super high metabolism and I was like always outside and loving life. And then depression happened. Started putting on weight, stopped going outside, and just kind of sort of blew up from there. But so I was a big dude. There was this scrawny little kid who was several years my junior. So like between 2 and 3 years younger than me, and maybe like 3 to 4. No, between like 2 and 4 years younger than me. And his little brother, no, because they're in the same class. So his little brother would have been like 5 years younger than me, and he would have been maybe like 3 years younger than me. Anyway, he tried to pick a fight with me because I guess his little brother said that I stole his like $5 or something. And I'm like, I don't even go outside the house. Like I'm back here playing World of Warcraft or doing whatever I'm doing. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, he said that you stole his $5 and he had come to my house to fight me. And I'm like, girl, I will destroy you. I would destroy you. But I'm not going to entertain this. Like, I didn't take his $5. I don't know what this is about. I'm about to go back to my room and do whatever I was doing before you came over here. I admire that he was going to stick up for his brother. I admire that, especially coming for me. But I'm like, no, this is pointless. I'm not doing this. So anyway, Abdullah showed up. This one cat tried to get me to fight. I was like, I'm not fighting. First of all, Abdullah is just sitting over there talking whatever Abdullah is talking. I don't know what's going on. And then that's when the girl showed up. And I was like, oh. And then the cats just disappeared. I don't know why I'm talking about that dream. Does anyone remember why I started talking about that dream? I don't. Well, that's the thing about justice, too. Um, we kind of sort of reap what we sow. And sometimes we sow things that we don't want to reap. And so we seek out these means and these methods that do whatever. I'm not even going to speak to it because I don't know about it, okay? like in the dream, I stay in my own lane, I mind my own business, and that's all I do. And even before I got into any of this, in my mind, it was like, you ain't doing this and you ain't doing that. Divination, like cards, any other means of divination, like that's the one thing you do, right? When it comes to rituals and all this other kind of magic or whatever that's not for you, you don't engage with it. And it ain't against nobody who do. Again, it just came to me before I even ordered these that if I order this, like divination is the only thing that I do. I'll be protected and everything else as long as I continue to stay in my own lane. And that's the principle that I've been operating with and under since I began. And I continue to stay in my own little lane. And that's why whenever I'm like looking at a reading and someone's like, oh, this person is envious and that person is jealous, I'm like, of what? And then when it's just like, and especially when it comes to like black magic and stuff like that, I'm just like, girl, against me? I'm like, this must be for somebody else. This can't resonate for me because, like I said, like I stay in my own lane. I don't do nothing. Like I don't bother nobody. It's like if ever I fall out with somebody, I just fall back, right? Or if there's something going on that is like rubbing me the wrong way, or if I stop vibing, I just fall back. Also, I go into these little hermit modes sometimes, and I kind of sort of naturally fall back because there were things that I was doing within myself, and also things that I was trying to do for the collective. And I think I was in some ways trying to like hold space, but like I said, it's like anybody who gonna be about it, they probably already about it, and so we can't hold space forever. Not that I have any whatever and whatever. It's just things that I entertain. But yeah, that's what this is. The Six of Swords and the Eight of Cups. This is a very. It's like there's a lot of like. There's also a feeling over here that you've done enough. Like maybe this queen thinks that like there's more that she could do, but she's done enough that she's gonna be good. And if you're not crossing that threshold, you may be falling back. I don't know. I don't know anything. Okay. Like I said, I wasn't gonna get super deep into it, and then look at what I ended up doing. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get super deep into September or whatever. I just want to see what I would see coming out. And this is what I see coming out. We've been in this space. It's almost been like a war of the worlds, almost. But we've been in this space of in between all year, basically. And now we're kind of sort of going to be reaching that point where um, instead of going from this Two of Pentacles in between worlds, it's the ace, it's the one, whatever you've chosen. And the world card was at the bottom of the deck. So then I guess that would be, going from Virgo to Libra. We go from that purification, we go from that aligning, that organization, and then we're coming into this. And I guess it's also interesting because everything started around the spring equinox, Aries season, mid-March. At least here, some places started in Pisces season like mid to late February. But over here in the US, it was like mid-March when things really began to kick off, to the point where everyone was affected and not just the people who were choosing to have a little bit of foresight. Um, so we're gonna be getting the final message, and I'm gonna be wrapping this up, and I'm gonna make me something today because I gotta listen to my body, and my body wants prepared food, like hand crafted food. Handcrafted. I want a handcrafted meal. Um, and so there's a little bit of some things that I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna do. Um, what was I talking about? like I said, my dreams have been interesting for all my life. And so some people are like, I guess more and more people are saying now that they're like getting these downloads in their dreams and stuff. I feel like I've been getting, I don't even know. Like I could read through some of these and just be like, what was this? Like I had a dream. It was a return of an old feminine god, and she killed basically all of the men in this space who were unmarried and or balding. The only dudes who were saved were like non-balding men who were married to women who were in attendance at the time that she came back. And then it sent me on this journey of, it was like very ancient Egyptian type theme journey, seeking the blessings of all of these gods, basically being like, she has come back, who is going to stop her? And all these old guys being like, I ain't gonna do it, but here, this might help you on your journey. So, it was like I said, interesting for like ever. Especially around like 2018 though. Apparently. There was actually a dude that I met in that dream. He was real cute too. And apparently I knew him, but I forgot him. But he knew me. And then I said I had that other dream that was interesting because some of the details line up to somebody that I now know. But at the point that I had the dream, I didn't. And so the face was somebody else. And I wrote something in there that I'm trying, like, I can't even, unless it was like the Rugrats. Because I put Chucky in there. I was like, it's like a little 5-year-old Chucky. And I'm like, the one person I know named Chucky, like, no. And then I'm like, well, is it Chucky from the Rugrats? Because I didn't watch the movie Chucky. So like Chucky was a thing, and then dancing was a thing, and then there was a pool. But it was a pool. It was like an underground pool. It was cute. But there were also like 2 rivers, and I wrote in there that like the feminine waters rolled under the masculine ones. Don't know what that means, but I put it in there. And I remember the house was like in the neighborhood, and it looked very like interesting because it was like there was this one area where there were like these little pools outlined by like stones or something, and then we went into the basement, and in the basement of the house was like basically where these 2 rivers meet under the house. I don't know. That was January of 2019. So like between November 2018, that's when stuff started to take off to another level, I guess. And that's like, those are the earliest dreams that I have recorded. Um, I remember there would be this one recurring nightmare that I would have, and it would start at church. And my mom and my grandmother were kidnapped, and there was this one room that led to a back room, and I would go back there, and there was like this living doll that it was like a puzzle to sort of disassemble it. It was like to disassemble the doll, I had to put it together. So I guess basically I had to remake this doll because whatever it had been pre-programmed to do was like not great. And it was a recurring nightmare. And every time I had that nightmare, the doll puzzle would get more and more complicated. Because I guess, to keep me on my toes if I remembered the last time I had the dream. And I did, because I had the dream so often. I would do it the way I solved it last time, and then it wouldn't work. I don't know. Anyway, I'm weird, and I've been weird all my life, okay? All my life. I've been weird. Just don't talk about it. All right. I do want to get the magical dimensions. I really, really, really want to pull the energy oracles, but I'm not going to do it today because, like I said, we ain't back. I was just curious about September. I also wanted to come back and talk about the thing with the masculine energy creating on the micro scale that is the structure and organization and foundation for the feminine energy to then come in and do things on the macro scale. It's also like feminine energy could create in a more abstract way, and the masculine energy creates in a more logical way. But when you're engaging, at least on this plane, on this planet, it's like the things that are more abstract bloom and blossom and come into a life of their own. And the things that are more absolute don't. And that's maybe another reason why like that masculine energy is kind of sort of like more on the micro scale. Because even on the micro scale, whenever you introduce the element of life, it's the domain of the feminine because the masculine can't account for life. The micro, the finite, the logical, the absolute can't account for the randomness. And so, oh, I thought that was Ice Queen. It's Celestial Assistance. Celestial Assistance and Contemplation. Ooh. But yeah, I don't know. Dream's been interesting. Dream's been weird. Time travel, magic, angels and demons, fighting. Gods, apparently. Utopia! Can I get one more card, please? And just like one more with this final. They said, nah. Well, I'm going to give it 3 more. Just in case. Please. Because I just want to see if we're still exiled from Utopia or not. Okay, nothing came out. That's fine. Bottom of the deck is the Heart Portal. I love that. So earlier it was exiled in the throat. Now it's the heart. Utopia is number 43, which is a 7. It's peace, serenity, and paradise. Sure, let's read it. Let's read it. I don't think I've ever read Utopia before. I think there's only 44 cards in this deck. So it's number 43. Yeah, there's only 44 cards in the deck. And card number 44 is Wisdom. So this comes right before the Wisdom. And with this being before Wisdom, yesterday with the Seeker of Coins, it was the tooth connected to the key connected to the earth. And I was like, our wisdom is going to be what opens the door to these experiences. And the thing about wisdom is it is gained, at least on a humanly, on a practical level, wisdom is an applied knowledge in some ways. And it's an understanding of how knowledge interacts with different spaces. And so there's an understanding of the self, there's an understanding of the space, and then there's an understanding of the self in the space. And how the space is changed because of the self. Because of our interaction with it, even if we're only in it, right? It's like when we observe things, they change. Just through the observation of them. And so, Utopia. This says it's peace, serenity, and paradise. This image is connected with the burgundy azure color ray. Burgundy and blue. I love that. The celestial interpretation here is Utopia resonates to that of soul bliss. Soul bliss with Utopia. We're going to stop there too. It resonates to soul bliss. And so that's why that projection of exile reflected back on Utopia, because it's a bliss of the soul. And if your soul isn't in bliss, it's an automatic exile. And we express these things. It's like when we project onto other people, we express our alignment with our own self and with our own truth and with our own soul. And so there could have been a misalignment or a malalignment within the self that was projected. And it's like you can now perceive, I mean, you kind of sort of perceive this space as Utopia because it is what it is. But also, it's like you perceive the alignment of someone else with themselves or of something else with itself. You can understand and realize that maybe some of the action that you took or some of the words that you spoke came out of your own misalignment. And now, with that higher perspective, you're seeing the alignment as utopia. You're seeing the truth of what this is from this higher space that you weren't necessarily seeing it for in the slower space. But allow this sort of like peeking over the edge of the hedge to, I don't know, motivate you to do whatever you need to do within yourself, to get alignment within yourself, so you ain't necessarily like, I don't know, envying, judging other people. And I can't understand how, maybe you thought you was really gonna knock somebody off their plinth, because that's a word that I rediscovered yesterday. You thought you were gonna knock somebody off of their plinth, but it didn't happen. And maybe you got knocked off of yours, so you felt that you can knock somebody else off of theirs, but allow their not getting knocked off of theirs to allow you to allow yourself, allow someone else, allow your failure to inspire you to success. That's what I'm trying to say. Allow your failure to inspire you to success. If you tried to play villain in someone else's story because somebody played villain in your story and they knocked you off of yours and you couldn't knock somebody off of theirs, allow that to motivate you instead of, I don't know, creating that exile energy to be yourself, right? Like I said, it's like there are certain things that are easier. Ooh, Four of Wands with the Magician. There are certain things that are easier to kind of sort of blame on the environment. But when you see someone in the same environment who makes choices that are more aligned to who they are and what they want, to make choices that are not aligned by the environment, even though they come from a similar environment, even though they've been through similar situations and circumstances as you, it can be motivating to see someone not do that. But sometimes before you get to the motivation of that, you have to go through the realization of, wow, like, so it really is me. Like, it's not me in the way that everyone else said it was me, but it's me holding me back. And I can continue to blame the environment, and it could be valid to blame the environment, but do I want valid excuses or do I want forward movement? And so it comes into that space where it's not that easy to navigate. And I think that's the thing with the Queen of Swords versus that Eight of Cups walking away. It's like the Eight of Cups will take responsibility and will move forward in a way that is new and fresh. But that Queen of Swords, I feel like the Queen of Swords, it's not that she wouldn't see it, but it's like the Queen of Swords will use that as justification, as further justification, where this Page of Swords will use that as motivation to leave behind the things that need to be left behind and to do that hard, tough work and to not shirk away from it. And that's the thing. It's like, that's when the environment inspires us to look inside of us, to go deeper within us, instead of our environment inspiring us to look within us to trigger some change in the environment. And that's another reason why that Hermit card came out. The Moon and the Star. I mean, the Moon is the satellite. The star is the star. The star is its own source of light. And so stars don't rely on other stars to shine. Stars are always shining. So, it's another thing that we've had the opportunity to sort of come into. Right? And I mean, satellites are great because satellites spread the light of the source that they use, the source that they're aligned to, right? And so it's not that being a satellite is necessarily bad, but you also kind of sort of have to accept the fact that that's not your light you're shining. And again, it's not always bad, but I feel like even it's kind of sort of like what Jesus said. I feel like when he said that all things that he did we can do and more, in these other texts where the Messiah or whatever, the Savior, comes down, it's to inspire us to find that light within ourselves and to be that light, and not necessarily for us to only be satellites of their example and to not ever claim our own light. It's to like show us the way, not to put them on a pedestal and have them be the way. But again, one requires a little bit more work than the other, or a fair amount more, I should say. I don't want to say a little bit, but I don't know. It's like, why is it easier for some people to put their faith in others than it is for them to put their faith in themselves? And not putting your faith in yourself in a way that is like, you know, artificial and egoic and whatever, but to like to believe that you can also do and achieve and change and grow and heal and become all that you wished and wanted. It's like, is it not the same amount of faith? But I guess it's the direction that it's applied in that, I mean, because I guess a sail is a piece of cloth regardless, right? A sail is always a piece of cloth. It's the wind that really makes it difficult to proceed in a certain direction. It's not the ship or the vessel in and of itself. It's the conditions and the environment that it's surrounded with. So, I don't know. See, this wasn't even supposed to be all that. I'm still supposed to be on break. I know. I can't just sit still. I know. There are things that I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm going to get on them. I'm going to do them. It's time for me to be really clear. Oh, snap. The Six of Wands are the Six of Pentacles with the Two of Pentacles. Now, y'all know that the Six of Pentacles is one of my favorite cards. You know. Some people go for the Lovers. Some people go for the Two of Cups. I go for the Six of Pentacles. Sue me. Anyway. Well, I guess, you know, going for the Six of Pentacles is fine when you know what you bring to the table. And so to have that reciprocated, it's almost like the Six of Pentacles is an energy that can take any shape and any form. Just like the Nine of Cups and the Star card. These cards that are linked to desires are linked to wishes. And because it's linked to the space of desire itself, it can be taken in any shape or any form. And so, too, can the mirror, the Six of Pentacles, reflect anything that you put in it. And so if you put something magnificent in it, then you get something magnificent out of it. And so maybe my journey has always been to discover the magnificence that I hold within. With the Six of Pentacles being my card that I always look to. It's like, some people go for that Sun card. I go for the Six of Pentacles. But again, like I said, I guess it's always been the case that there was more within me that I needed to discover to have that reciprocated from the outside. So I guess I should have known that I'd be on this path that I'm on. And it's interesting that I never looked at it that deeply. I always looked at it as like, you know, finally getting back whatever it is that I give to people. And I can give a lot. I'm kind of sort of a jack of all trades. Anything that people need for me to be, I can kind of sort of become it, which is interesting. Anything that people need for me to know, I can learn it. And maybe that's why my mom, whenever I tell my mom I don't know, she's like, you're not trying to know. You're not trying to know. Because she knows all too well that whatever the need is, I can adapt to fill it. Kind of sort of like the element of water, right? But also I am my own vessel. And so I am water dominant, but I have the element of earth right there. I mean, if you count the calculated points, then like with my rising, I'm just as watery as I am earthy. But if you don't count the rising, if you only look at planets, I'm a 4-3-2-1. 4 water, 3 earth, 2 air, and 1 fire. But when you put in the nodes and some other things, like the nodes give me one more in fire and air. My rising gives me one more in earth, and then Chiron gives me one more in fire. And with Chiron and the nodes, I get every energy in the wheel except for Virgo. Chiron and the North Node round out my Venus and Aries to get that nice trine right there. The South Node, it completes my Saturn-Jupiter trine to give me an air trine. It's a lot looser. The fire trine is the tightest. And then I actually have a water trine in my IC. And so you know how you have your midheaven? So the opposite of my midheaven is sitting right there to complete the trine that I have between Mercury and Pluto. So I have Mercury, Pluto on my IC giving me a water trine. I already got a big old sextile around the whole wheel. And then my sextile is broken on the other side because I don't have any Virgo. I got all these trines in my chart. Also, I have a lot of squares, so it ain't easy. Got a lot of squares too, so it's all balanced out. You know. Ooh, the devil with that father, with that Son of Swords. Cut him out. Cut him out. Thank you, Son of Swords, for taking down that devil energy. Because I personally, no, I'm tired of seeing it. Temperance is the angel, though, so it's all, you know, in balance. Okay, anyway, I've rambled long enough. I'm getting real hungry. Final cards, please. Oh, this is all a mess, girl. What is the... Oh. Ooh, Three of Swords kind of in reverse. And Utopia is the card that came out. But this is upright. Three of Swords is in reverse. Oh, this is a lot. But we rise to the challenges on this channel, and we will take every single one. I literally just said I'm hungry. Oh. Okay. I'm hungry. Three of Swords. Now this is immediately, it's taking me back to that Utopia with the throat. Or it was exiled from Utopia. There are these things about our past that kind of sort of creep up on us, and we're a little bit more tied up than we think. And that's another thing that Page of Swords is doing through her Eight of Cupsing and Six of Swordsing, crossing that Eight of Cups. And again, I mean, like, that's something that I've already said when I did the weekly release a while ago. Right? It's the work is, it's not necessarily any easier. It's still hard. It's a little less difficult, but it's still difficult. But the Eight of Cups right now, that energy is supported by God, the angels, your crew, the universe at large, as we're coming into this new dawn, this new Akasunare, Akasunare, Shin Akasunare. That's what I'm going to start calling it, Shin Akasunare, or Akasunare Shin. I know Shin is new. Shin Akasunare, this new dawn. How do you say gold? King. What is golden then? King no Akasunare? Or Akasunare no king? Well, because red is like aka, but it becomes akai when it's like an adjective or whatever. When it modifies a noun, it becomes akai. What is king? No, because there's like Midori would be Midori no. So yeah, King no Akasunare is a golden dawn. Or a Shin King. Shin King no Akasunare. This new golden dawn. But Kino, like King no Akasunare is golden dawn, but Kino also means yesterday. And so, well, that just speaks to time zones. Because here in the U.S., it's like we're in the last time zone of the world, basically. We accompany, or we hold some of the last time zones, and so It's tomorrow all over the planet, but it's still yesterday here. And is that fitting for these times? I don't know. But anyway, let's start up here and then work our way up. Let's just flip all of these because, like I said, I ain't got the time. The Two of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, the Nine of Swords, the Daughter of Swords in reverse, and the Three of Pentacles. Then we have Temperance. We have the Nine of Cups, the Eight of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Two of Wands. And then we have the Father of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups, the Moon, and the Nine of Pentacles. And so, real quick, so the Father of Pentacles is tied to balancing of one's own desires and maybe restricting oneself. Now, this is all in the element of the Three of Swords, and the Three of Swords doesn't necessarily have to be heartbreak. The Three of Swords is just, it's an energy of something that isn't reciprocated. The Three of Swords is unrequited. And so if you never, for the sake of stability, if you never show up, it's like you're not even communicating fully what you want. So if you're not communicating fully what you want, how do you expect to get what it is that you're wanting? And even if you were communicating it, you wouldn't even allow yourself to accept it anyway. So this is on you. This is your fault. Not feeling bad. You're not speaking what it is that you want. And even when you do, you don't accept it. It's like, girl, like we literally gave you everything that you were asking for. Now in the Ten of Cups, we have this energy of swiftness up here. This is like a swift fulfillment, but you would only lose it. This was me in the past, and this is also connected to the moon, so hey. But when it connecting, so OBS is reconnected. I don't know why it's doing this now all of a sudden. I guess I'm still looking into it too much. Okay, so let me just look at everything on the board. And let's just see what jumps out. So with this Moon card and with the Page of Swords, this is a good path here. This is good because it's unknown, but there's a peace in the workings behind the scenes. And where everything used to be dark in the past, with this Page of Swords in reverse, it's like it's a change of that vision. This is no longer being afraid of the dark. This is welcoming the dark, because in the dark, it's the space where dreams are fulfilled. Right? It's like things have to transit the dark before they come to the light, before they come into your experience. And this is you knowing that you've done everything within you to align yourself to whatever it is that you actually want. This is releasing yourself from the outcome, releasing yourself from the fulfillment, and trusting that the order will be delivered, or at least you're going to get something that you like. Right? Also, with the Seven of Swords and with this Nine of Swords, this is your own pessimistic outcome, keeping you from receiving whatever it is that you really want and you desire. And with this Ten of Cups here, you see at the top, so since I'm reading this from top to bottom, everything down here is mixed. Nothing is separated. And so you get all of these mixed cups. You get some stuff that you want, you get stuff that you don't want, you get more stuff that you don't want, because you're focusing on the things that you don't like. And when you focus more on what you don't want and what you don't like, there's this energy of like rapid manifestation here. But with the Seven of Swords and the Nine of Swords, it's like you're not even manifesting the things that you don't even want. And so you may not even take responsibility for your manifestations. And if you don't take responsibility of your manifestations, you keep manifesting things that you don't want. Quite simply, at the end of the day, because you never take responsibility for it. So you never fixed anything because you don't believe that the fault and the issue lies in you. And the fault and the issue lies in you, and it lies in your vision and the way that you see things, or the way that you go about things. And that's the way that things sort of work out for you. You may sort of find out that like, oh, like if you believe that you're going to have a bad day, you have the worst day, and it's thing after thing after thing. You're powerful, but you're not aligned to what it is that you actually want. Now over here with the last two, we have the Three of Pentacles with this Daughter of Swords in reverse. We have the Two of Wands with the Four of Swords, and then it ends up in the Nine of Pentacles. This is an energy that is self-assured. But again, it's not to be selfish. But also over here, it's not to work with things that don't align to where it is that you want to go either. I feel like you've done this is kind of sort of like past to future or different steps along the way. So at this point, you've recognized all of this. Coming into it or coming out of it, coming out, sorry, of this moon into more of an understanding here, but still kind of sort of connected to the moon through the space here, which is a Five of Swords. And I love the Five of Swords, but it's almost a Three of Swords because one of these swords is being held by the daughter. We have a -1 and a +4, which gives us the 3. So this is about seeing the lesson in all of that. The red string, it's about seeing how some of that stuff was fated to happen, and it's about taking advantage of this in the past to correct that vision through self-accountability and get where you actually want to be. And if something does not bring you peace, it ain't gonna fly. It's a no-fly zone. And it's not that things have to be easy. If something isn't aligned to where it is that you want to go, this is about being able to recognize it. And it's about crossing these wands if you need to and be like, nope, you are not permitted entry. And then opening it up if something is permitted entry. And we're going to get another final message because that was a lot. That was a lot. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the Three of Swords is about whether you accept the things in your past. Hermit at the bottom of the deck, exactly. So I could have just taken the Three of Swords by itself because it's about whether or not you accept the things as they are. If you accept not even your role in it, but if you accept your ability to turn trash into treasure, to make lemons into lemonade, lemon meringue pie, or whatever you want to make lemons into. It's like you can complain about the sourness of the lemon, or you can put some sugar in it and turn it into something sweet. Or you can, put a little lemon zest on something else. You know what I mean? It's like you can complain about the flavor or you can do something with it. At the end of the day, you have this lemon and it ain't going nowhere. What are you going to do with it? Also, a lemon is like a jalopy, right? It's like an old beat up car. Maybe it's about appreciating the things that have gotten you to the point that they've gotten you to, but, also it's about letting them go. So instead of looking at your old jalopy like a piece of trash, appreciate it for, where it gets you. And then maybe in your appreciation of it, you'll graduate to a Mercedes Benz or a Bentley or what's the other one? A Bugatti or a Jeep, because we're all about Jeeps on this channel apparently. Yeah, this is break day 2. Anything I say, take it with a grain of salt. Always, always, always use your own intuition, judgment, discernment, mind, experiences. I encourage all of that. It is only my delight to provide alternative perspectives that maybe one didn't consider before. And, at the end of the day, I can only speak to my experiences and to things that come to me and to experiences that I've observed or to experiences that I'm able to kind of sort of construct through whatever means, right? That may or may not resonate to you. And just because it resonates to you in a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take it in the way that I presented it or take it in the way that your mind may automatically default, because that Queen of Swords energy is not great. And that's interesting because I think the Queen of Swords is the energy that I'm in right now in the space of Leo season. And then I'm coming into a moon in Virgo season. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Queen of Swords is what I have for this season. This year, the overall for this year is interesting for me. I think this will be the last year where I pull cards because I don't like it, honestly. I like living my life. Sometimes I wait till like the end of the month. Sometimes I look at it at the beginning of the month. You know what? Let's just go for it. Let's get some reversals up in here. Why not? I've done all upright for long enough. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, the 9 of Pentacles and the 3 of Pentacles. To really contribute to a team, you kind of sort of have to be confident in yourself enough to where if you see something, you say something, right? Because there are some times where certain infractions only are really apparent and visible to somebody. They may not be visible to the whole team, but if you see something, it's revealed to you for a reason. Oh, I thought a card flipped over. It's revealed to you for a reason. And, if you aren't really confident in yourself, you may kind of sort of not speak to that just because no one else is. And then it's like, man, if only someone would have seen that one of these O-rings was missing, if only someone would have reported it instead of, being freaking out about us meeting the deadline, maybe we could have saved the ship. If only someone would have mentioned that, hey, that one nut over there, that one bolt over there is looking a little loose. No one else is seeing it because they're all in admiration. And you were too, but then you notice this little, something is catching your eye because there's this loose piece of metal that's, moving and jiggling around, and it's catching the sunlight, right? And everyone else is, focused way up here. And you're getting this, whole admiration, and then when you go back, and you're like, wait. It's like, what is that? And then you're like, oh, that's a piece of metal that's, flopping around. It shouldn't be doing that. Say something. You'll save lives, money, time, energy, effort, everything. And some things are illuminated to you for a reason. And when you don't speak on them, you do a disservice to everybody. And I used to be in the camp that, it ain't necessarily my job to say something. I ain't nobody daddy. I'm not responsible for nobody but myself. But now I'm like, we're not responsible for how people take the information. Our responsibility solely lies in saying it. This is a lot. Oh, what? Do y'all see this? The Emperor and the Empress came out together, and the Lovers led the pack. Bottom of the deck is the Daughter of Wands, and the Son of Wands is right here. Now, this is somebody else's daughter. You see how they different colors? This is somebody else's daughter and somebody else's son, even though one is upright and the other one's in reverse. This is interesting. We have the Nine of Pentacles with the Father of Pentacles, and then we have the Son of Wands over here. So they're both looking to this energy. I don't know why I just did that to spread them back out. The Lovers is about choices. All of these I'm going to read as upright, because you see it upright. This is about choices. This is about stability. This is about internal stability. This is about choosing to align with the self. And when you choose to align with the self, we aligned with those who align with us. And so we have this. It's interesting that we have the Empress with the Father of Pentacles, because the woman holding a heart came out with the woman holding a coin came out with the man holding a heart yesterday. But I think this is really about acting from this place of worth. Something about this Empress had to discover its own internal beauty in a way that other people weren't doing, because it's happening at night, and that's when her colors are coming out. Also, these are on the horns, right? So there's an element of a down low, but these are connected to the self, right? With the Father of Swords, it's the sword that has that rainbow color. And so that's something outside of the Father. It's the sword, right? Now, the sword becomes an extension of the self when wielded by a master of the weapon. But it's still outside the body. This is connected to him, and I think deer can survive without their antlers. I think, young bucks shed their antlers, actually. And so maybe it's like you shed your old pair of antlers and you're coming into these new fancy ones. Something about this is still, outside, though, because, it's like trees shouldn't do that. And it's happening at night. And this tree in the daytime Maybe this is actually the same person. This is all you. In the nighttime, it's like deeply you know who you are, or you're coming into this deep foundational understanding of who you are. But maybe you don't yet know how to express that. And so when it comes to the Emperor with the energy of the sun, we have a sun here, the sun, S-O-N, and the sun, S-U-N. Over here we have a father. And so you're very sort of grounded and rooted into who you are. You found this, but now it's time to live it and it's time to be it. And so there are going to be these series of choices where it's like you come into the Father of Wands by being who you are. I think the Father of Wands has a little bit of a rainbow in the space of the bolt of lightning that runs behind him. And so I think the Father of Cups is the only one where the rainbow isn't represented, but the Father of Cups is the black swan. So it's like he is the rainbow because he takes in all of that light. And since he takes in all of the light, he appears as black. Pigment, that's how it works. And the Father of Cups came out earlier with the Mother of Cups. This is about self-love and self-acceptance, and it's also about being that in the world through the choices that you make. This is self-honoring choices. And the more you make these self-honoring choices, the more of you come into, the closer you get to that utopia for you, right? And utopia was that alignment of the soul with the self, and then the Ice Queen was gaining control over the self, getting control more specifically over the shadow self, but it's not about dominating that energy. Excuse me, it's about putting it into perspective. Because that energy is already subjected to isolation and domination and all kinds of other things. And so it's like you're just going to continue to do to it. It's like you push it further into the shadow when you do stuff like that. But again, you don't have to be sort of subjected to it either. So that's what I got today. I'm going to go get some food. I will probably honor the rest of this break. So, you know, I was a little naughty today. I was a little bit naughty. I shouldn't have come live, but it's fine. I did want to talk about the feminine and the masculine, the micro versus the macro, and how they kind of sort of play with each other, and how one is just as important as the other, because it's like that's what you set the stage for. It's like our environment, it's like we're on a journey of finding the self outside of the world, outside of the environment that we're born in, but the environment is important. But on this phase of the journey, it's about flipping the dynamic where we judge the internal as a result of the external, but now we come into the internal, we fix the internal, we grab our blocks that have been locked up, and we allow the external to form into a reflection of the internal. And as we stand in ourselves, as we make these self-honoring choices with the Lovers and the Nine of Pentacles, it's like it attracts that to us. And so more and more and more, our environment will begin to reflect our external, but also I'm not going to finish that thought. Our environment will begin to reflect more and more of the true internal that we have. I will finish the thought. But it's like it's not all about reflection. It's also about cooperation. And so when you come into the space of who you are and when you are aligned, then you can begin to, it's like we all more or less attract what is more or less aligned to what we are. But when you're fully aligned to yourself, you can attract other people who are fully aligned to themselves. And then we come into more of these collaborative and cooperative spaces where the environment around us becomes one of co-creation, and it becomes one of building, and it becomes one of more and more and more synchronicity, instead of just being the straight up flat reflection, right? Because then that's when we come into areas of expansion, and we come into areas of growth, and we come into areas of complementarity, when you have your certain set of skills, and you find these that you sort of like fit together with, and they fit together with you, somebody with their certain set of skills, and how you can be two sort of individuals but still come into this space of unity, right? And maybe that's the difference between unity consciousness and a consciousness of oneness. And so if I, within myself, sort of come up with that little bit of a partition, I do like unity consciousness, not that huge of a fan of oneness. And I feel like a lot of times when we talk about unity consciousness, it kind of sort of comes off as the same. But I read unity as me and my authenticity, you and your authenticity, and we come together, we pull our strengths to create something that neither one of us could have necessarily done alone, right? Whereas oneness is kind of sort of like this overall bland homogenization of everything, where it can kind of sort of strip the uniqueness and the beauty of our individual experiences, right? It's like you can capitalize on this diversity and unity, but you kind of sort of lose that diversity and oneness. And again, it's kind of sort of semantics, I know, but I guess it's all on the focus. Anyway, all right.